So there's been a lot of talk around Master Chief and Cortana and the entire relationship that spans multiple games. Many people seem to think that this is down to them knowing each other for, well, years and years, decades, who knows, but certainly in Halo 4 we see a relationship that isn't, it's not just a fleeting thing, and they have taken time to get to know each other, and they feel that there is a proper connection. They never actually use the word love in the game, and neither of them says anything even close to that, but you can see that there's an affection involved, and this has led many people to misunderstand the relationship between Cortana and John. I'm here today to tell you exactly how long they have actually spent together and in what situations, and it's probably not as much as you think. Let's get started. Okay, so to start with, we're going to go all the way back, and I mean this in the futuristic sense, to August 29th, 2552. Okay? So, in this instance, Chief goes through a training course to demonstrate the effectiveness of having a Mjolnir integrated AI. The AI, of course, being Cortana. Now, the test is less than an hour long, and Cortana and the Chief end up basically proving that Mjolnir and the Spartans and the AI in the suit is a brilliant combination. I mean, they end up deflecting missiles during the training while they are actively hunted, and the people that actually are coming against them are, at one point, actually literally trying to kill them. So it's a proven thing, and they spend about an hour together, alright, and then they separate and they go off and do their other duties. I mean, Chief's not finished training, certainly, and Cortana, well, she's probably got starships to run or something. Then we fast forward to September 19th, 2552. This is when Halo CE takes place, Combat Evolved. Alright, so the first Halo, if you haven't known it as Combat Evolved. The actual full title is Halo Combat Evolved. Anyway, Cortana slides into the Chief's DMs, I mean, armour, from the very first level onward. Alright, so you get the chip. If you've played the game, you know. If you haven't, Chief is awoken from cryo, is told to report to the bridge, goes through the entire ship being attacked, and ends up on the bridge and meets Captain Keyes, and Captain Keyes gives him Cortana and says to protect her. And off they go on their, iconic storyline. Now, from the very first level onwards until the end of Halo, that's about 4 days. Alright, now you can shave off a good half day or so when Cortana was left in the control room, while Chief went chasing after Keyes to try and, recover the key to blow up the Pillar of Autumn. Spoiler alert. Hopefully everyone's played Halo CE by now. But yeah, so Chief leaves Cortana in the control room of Halo, and goes off to get the authorization key from Keyes, who has been turned into Flood. And at this point, you end up in the whole library business where you're trying to get the key to activate Halo. Gives me just chills thinking about that. It's one of, in my opinion, I didn't like the library. I didn't like it when I first played it, and I still don't like it today. I find it a bit monotonous, but there are people who like it, so good for them, I guess. I don't know. It's about 4 days in total, but 3.5 days if you shave off about half a day while you're gallivanting around trying to get the authorization key and make your way through the library. So from here, the events of the book First Strike, Halo First Strike, they get a bit dicey and a bit weird in terms of relative time, just thanks to the whole Forerunner time and space crystal shenanigans that goes on. I don't know, I find it a bit weird. So I'm just going to add on like an extra 4 days. Let's be generous. All right, 4 days. From the end of Halo up until when the crew jumps back to Earth on the UNSC Gettysburg. All right. Okay, at this point we are on October 20th, 2552. All right. Now, nothing does actually happen until late October as far as combat operations go. Thus, we fast forward to where Halo 2 begins, October 20th. Now, Chief spends maybe, I don't know, half a day at best in a combat situation from when the Covenant attack to when the UNSC in amber clad leaves Earth. So if you've played Halo 2, you know what I'm talking about. The actual fight is brought to Earth, and the Chief ends up on the in amber clad, and they follow the Covenant away through a slip space portal. So that's probably, you're looking at about half a day on Earth fighting. Now at this point, they're in slip space, so they spend about 2 weeks in transit. Okay, so when they emerge, it is November 2nd, 2552, of which, in all likelihood, Chief, along with probably 90% of the crew, were probably frozen on ice. So they were all in cryo, okay? Again, he gets back at it, and he starts engaging the Covenant with Cortana on Delta Halo. Alright, now over the course of little more than, say, a day of fighting, the Chief leaves Cortana on High Charity, and that's what we know to be the end of Halo 2. Now, the date by this point is December 11th, 2552. We've got about 9-ish days and about an hour in total time spent together so far. Now, fast forward to weeks later when the Chief rescues Cortana on High Charity in Halo 3. Hopefully you've all played it again. Now, he gets her, they, bust their way out and they blow up Installation 04B. Now, this was the Halo installation that was supposed to replace the first one that you exploded in Halo Combat Evolved. So they were building it and you thought, you know what, we're just going to fire it and take out the Ark, effectively. So that's what happens, all right? And then John, afterwards, Spartan 117 goes back into cryo in what, probably, I don't know, 2 hours of re-establishing contact with Cortana. But since this is only just an estimate, let's go with half a day. All right, let's be generous. Even though it's probably more like about 3 hours, but let's give it half a day. That's no problem. Then we get the time skip where Chief just, I don't know, sleeps away 4 years in cryo, while Cortana is left to man the half of the remains of the Forward Unto Dawn, which they jumped into at the end of Halo 3, and the Arbiter was there as well. Now, the Arbiter was in the front half of the ship, and Chief was in the back, in the cargo hold. It started to go through the portal, and then the Halo exploded that you set off on the Ark, the 04B installation, and the portal closed while half of the ship went through. The front half, with Arbiter, ended up going back to Earth and landing in the ocean. The back half just didn't go anywhere. And they've basically been chopped in half, effectively. So what we're looking at here, basically, Chief goes into cryo and Cortana tries to man the remaining half of the ship in case someone, comes along and they can hear the distress signal. Now, at this point, when we step back into it, it is July 21st, 2557. At this point in time, Cortana and Chief have spent a total time together of about 9.5-ish days and plus an hour from the training that we first mentioned at the beginning. Alright, so this is where the events of Halo 4 take place. Now, if we add the time spent from when Chief wakes up until the fragment of Cortana that was left behind after the nuclear explosion disappears at the end of Halo 4, we have a whopping 12-ish days of actively working together. And that's it. That's your bottom line. That is all she wrote. Master Chief, Petty Officer 117, John, and Cortana have spent a total of approximately 12 days together. Not even a fortnight. Alright? Which is mind-boggling when you think about it, because all of the stuff they've done during this time is, well, I mean, they've saved the Earth, the galaxy, the universe, who knows? I mean, the firing of the Halo rings would have decimated everything. Every living thing in the galaxy would have been just wiped out. That's effectively all they've spent. They've spent about 12 days together in total of actual time. And yet the connection between the two of them is so strong that in Halo 4, Cortana literally gives her life to save the Master Chief. I'll leave you with that thought. As always, I hope you enjoyed this video. We'll keep it nice and short. And join me again for another piece of Halo lore. Until then, stay safe. Please subscribe to the channel and drop a like. I'll see you on the next one. Happy gaming.